Did you know that some of the most iconic characters in history, Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, and even Popeye, are now free for you to use in creating your own games? As of January 1st, 2025, the original depiction of Popeye from 1929 comic strip has officially entered the public domain in the United States. Although there are a lot of nuances in using such characters in your own games legally, which I'll cover in this video. Popeye is not alone. He's joining a treasure trove of legendary intellectual properties that you, as a game developer, can use to create your next game without paying a single penny in royalties. In this video, I'll break it all down and show you some of the best public domain IPs that are free to use for game developers. I was personally surprised how many good characters are there. But before you start sketching out your Popeye RPG or Dracula survival horror game, there is a catch. Just because these characters are in the public domain doesn't mean you can use their names and likeness without any restrictions. So, what exactly is the public domain and how can you use these IPs safely? The public domain is like a giant library of creative works that are no longer protected by copyright law. This means anyone can use, adapt, or remix these works without needing permission or paying any fees. Works enter the public domain for a few reasons. First one is copyright expiration. Another reason is failure to renew copyright. Some older works weren't properly renewed, making them free to use. And the last one is dedication. Some creators intentionally release their work into the public domain. But, of course, there is a catch. While the original work is free to use, specific adaptations or trademarks might still be protected. For example, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is in the public domain, but Disney's version of Alice is still under copyright. So you can create your own Alice game, but you cannot use Disney's art style or specific elements unique to their adaptation. Using public domain IPs is generally safe, but there are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, you should avoid trademarks. Some characters or logos might still be trademarked. For example, you can use Sherlock Holmes as a character in your game, but you cannot, unfortunately, make him look specifically like Benedict Cumberbatch portrayal, even though it would look completely awesome in my detective dating sim. Because this depiction is protected by copyright and possibly trademark laws. Another thing to look out for is you need to check local laws. Copyright laws vary between countries, so you need to double check before releasing your game globally. A work in the public domain in one country might still be under copyright in another. Last but not least, while the original work is free, your adaptation should be unique enough to avoid infringing on modern interpretations. So if you want to create a game about, let's say, Nosferatu, it's perfectly fine, as Nosferatu is already in the public domain. Just make sure your version doesn't resemble more of the recent portrayals that are still under copyright. Maybe you should make him a little bit less handsome.
You must bounce on it. Crazy style.
Now that we've covered what public domain is, let's briefly talk about why you should consider using them at all. Well, after all, why bother with Sherlock Holmes or Dracula where you could create something entirely original? Well, as it turns out, there are some huge benefits to working with a known IP, especially for indie developers. One of the biggest advantages is that these IPs come with a built-in audience and the nostalgia factor. Characters like Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, and Alice in Wonderland are instantly recognizable, which means your game already has a head start when it comes to marketing. People are naturally drawn to stories and characters they already know and love. Let's take a look at an example. When Lies of P was announced, it immediately grabbed attention because it was based on Pinocchio, a story everyone knows.
Geppetto's puppet, our only hope.
That familiarity gave it a huge advantage in cutting through the noise of gaming market. Even if your game is a completely new take on the story, that initial recognition can be a powerful tool to attract players. And even though Lies of P wasn't really a story about a wooden boy that has an allergic reaction to lies,
Oh no, I dropped my glasses.
I wouldn't lie to you.
You could try. Who knows, you might get away with it.
public media got really interested about the fact that this game has its own weird take on Pinocchio's story. Another benefit of using known IPs is that it saves you time on world building and storytelling. The foundation is already there in most of the cases. The characters, the setting, or the themes. It is all kinda ready for you to adapt and expand upon. For example, if you are making a game about Dracula, you don't have to explain who the Dracula is and why is he scary. Players already know that. This lets you focus on creating a unique gameplay mechanics or adding your own twist to the story. Now let's take a look at some of my favorite public domain IPs that you can use to create your next game. First on the list, Sherlock Holmes. The world's greatest detective is in the public domain. Imagine a mystery-solving game where players unravel crimes in Victorian London, using logic and deduction to crack the case. Or maybe in your game, you are the criminal trying to run away from Sherlock's deduction. Just make sure to base your work on Arthur Conan Doyle's original stories published before 1923 and avoid elements from later adaptations. So again, no Benedict.
I was just playing the game.
Next one on my list is Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's 1818 novel is a cornerstone for Gothic literature, and it inspired countless adaptations. Just be careful not to replicate specific elements from later adaptations like Universal Studios' green-skinned monster with neck bolts. If I were to make a game about Frankenstein, I would probably use this theme of dude that is completely enraged by the fact that for centuries people kept calling him Frankenstein, even though it's literally the name of a guy that created him, not the monster. Next one on my list is Peter Pan. While the original 1911 text is in the public domain, you have to be mindful about the rights held by the Great Ormond Street Hospital in the UK. You should stick to the original novel and avoid elements from modern adaptations. Leveraging public domain IPs offers indie developers a unique opportunity: an already built-in audience, reduced time on world building, and the freedom to infuse your own creative vision. Just remember to ensure your adaptations are original, and you have to respect existing trademarks and local laws. For instance, while the original Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is public domain, later iterations with distinct features remain protected. You should also always verify the status of work in each jurisdiction where you plan to distribute your game. Some countries recognize moral rights, which protects the personal and reputational rights to the original creator. Even if a work is in the public domain, moral rights can affect how you can use it or modify the work. Maybe there is a specific IP in the public domain that already has you excited with an idea for a game. I say go for it. Pick an IP, start brainstorming, and make something amazing with your own twist to the story. Although if you are serious about creating such project, you should definitely start with consulting a legal expert about the usage of this specific public domain IP, just to be safe. If you enjoyed this video, I've got more content like this planned. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!